Hello, everybody out there on the Twitters, YouTubes, and other spots on the interwebs. It is I, Ginger, here with another episode of Fighting the Void. And today I am joined by my internet sister and former co-host, Crystal.
Hello.
So we have Crystal here today. We're going to talk a little bit about just the future of the podcast and everything, what's going on a little bit behind the scenes. Things are we're still working out details and all of that, fun stuff.
Yeah.
That you tend to have to work on behind the scenes, and sometimes it takes a while. But we're getting there. We're hashing out details, and since there's a couple hiatuses going on, we figured we'd check in with y'all. So, Crystal, why don't you go first as far as Blunt Talk?
Yes. Well, as some of you guys may have noticed on the Fighting the Void Twitter account, we announced that Blunt Talk will be going on a short hiatus or break, and that is because we may not even be Blunt Talk anymore.
Oh,
Scandalous.
Exciting.
Because Red and I have been talking, and we even brought it up on the last podcast episode we did, that we are thinking we want to take the show in a different route. And I don't want to say too much because Red isn't here right now, and I don't know how much he wants to share and whatnot. So I won't get too much into it, but I will say that it does tie into what we recently started really talking about a lot. So
that could be interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And so we want to dive into it more. And since we want to do that, it means sort of revamping everything Blunt Talk is or was. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that gets right into sort of something that I've talked about here on Fighting the Void in the past, and that's the idea of building this into a network. And so what we're going to be doing is taking Crystal and Red's podcast and actually splitting that off. Instead of just going under the Fighting the Void account like they have been, it's actually going to become its own kind of its own separate podcast, but as part of the Fighting the Void network.
Yeah.
So this is the first actual step to making that concrete.
Woo!
Yes. I've talked about it before. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. So we're actually starting to make it a reality. Now, there's a lot of things involved in that. One, of course, is just the actual splitting out the two shows a little bit. Another is going to be still trying to bring some others in. I've got a few ideas of people that I'm going to make inquiries of during the coming weeks. We've got to build a website, which we've started doing some initial poking around in that. And as Crystal and I have free time, we're going to be working on building that. There's no particular timetable right now. We're working on it.
Yeah.
So look at it from that angle. It's coming. I don't know exactly when. I'm going to go ahead and say sometime in the summer we should launch the website, which will probably be the first official launch of the network. Because we'll actually be able to go to a page and get access to both shows from there without necessarily having to search it on YouTube or anything like that, or wait for us to post a link on Twitter. You can just go to the website and check it out, and everything will be archived there appropriately and all of that jazz. And we'll probably also have a blog where we post whatever our musings are on whatever it is we're musing about. As part of that website, I will likely be including a page about my editorial services, and everything, just to kind of bring it all into one place. And it also, frankly, it keeps me from. It means my clients are more likely to be people that I'm not going to have to say no to because they're promoting things that I have no interest in promoting.
But and clients will know better too what they're getting themselves into as well.
Exactly. It's helpful to the clients as well. Not that that's happened a lot. There's just honestly in the last however long it's been, 3-4 years since I've been freelance editing and writing. That's probably happened maybe half a dozen times
Yeah.
at the most. So don't worry if you're at all scared of whether or not you should send something to me. Just send it, and I'll just let you know, and I won't be a dick about it. Put it that way. Also, I'm going to be going on hiatus here for a couple of weeks. Just due to work, I'm going to be working like 12-hour nights here starting tomorrow night for a couple of weeks, and then I go backpacking, and then we're going to do some like whole family vacation type of stuff probably, or at least I'm just going to spend time with them for the most part. So there's going to be a 3-4 week period where you're just not going to hear from me much. You might maybe a little bit here and there. I might do a live stream on the way home or something like that. But other than that, it's going to be kind of quiet around here for a few weeks. And I wanted to let some of our loyal listeners, like Pastor G over there in the comments, wanted to let you guys know that, that's going on and whatnot. So don't worry, we're not disappearing forever. We're just taking a little bit of a break.
Yeah, shout out to our loyal viewers though for always being there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
There are not many, but it is quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Pastor G, by golly, if you're not Pastor G and you're watching this, go check out Pastor G's channel.
Mm-hmm.
He's got interviews, he's got game stuff and everything. So definitely go check that out. And besides, he's a great guy. So there you go. Give him some views and subscriptions and all of those things. Do all the social media things. and do that for us too. Just cause. Crystal, did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. And there's a few other ideas and stuff that I still have for the channel, especially since we hit the magic 100 subscriber mark. But I'm going to sit on that for now because I want to worry about the website and getting a few other people on board with the network idea before we actually do that. Before I actually start spouting off about more stuff.
Same here. I kind of want to be careful as well because I sort of am guilty of being one of those people who was like, we're gonna do all these things, and then it's like crickets.
It happens so much. It's been such a learning process for me that I do, much as I hate to admit, I have limits.
Yeah,
I cannot do all of the things that I would love to do. Perhaps if there were 2, 3, 4 of me, maybe that would happen. Or just 50 hours in a day, that would help. But alas, those are not. There will never be 50 hours in a day, and even if there could be 3 or 4 of me. I saw the movie Multiplicity. It didn't work out well. Okay, so before I know it, I've got a retarded clone of a clone running around, and it ends off with they go and just start a pizza company somewhere in Miami, and it just gets weird.
Yeah. I would not trust multiple persons of myself. Like I couldn't even stand that. Who would want more than one Crystal in the same room? That's awful. It's awful.
Well, I mean, I know myself. I don't know that I would, trust having more than one of me around. It just wouldn't end well because one of them's just going to wind up being just a little bit angrier. And before you know it, he's off cloning himself and starting a ginger army to enact an actual ginger apocalypse, and then that's all over.
Yeah, and
I won't be able to control it.
I mean, this is a bit off topic, but this reminds me of a conversation I've had with Lucas because there's a YouTuber I'm subscribed to where I love their content and I like watching their stuff, but there's something about their person that just I'm always like, God, there's something about this person I don't quite like, and I don't know what it is. And Lucas has seen videos of the person as well, and he's like, honey, I hate to break it to you. You don't like this person because they're basically you. Like they're
That's
just
awesome.
you. There's nothing more to it. They just are you. And it's like, no.
Isn't that the truth though? You tend to the things you hate most about somebody else are the flaws, are your own flaws that you see in them.
Yeah. And I remember I remember I hate it because I first noticed this because they had done a video taking that Myers-Briggs personality test.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, it's been a while. Let me just redo it and whatnot. And it's like I'm going through all the answers as they're going through it. And except for like one or two, each thing they selected the same exact answer as me. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? No, I don't like this.
And Lucas is like, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yep.
Oh,
But-
by the way, I see Margot over there in the comments as well, which I think this is the first time I've actually seen Margot in the comments. Maybe not. Maybe she's been in there before. I don't remember. But hi, Margot. And anyway, I don't know. So what else, Crystal? What do you have any other things you'd like to say about the forthcoming developments, or anything, any hopes, aspirations you have?
Well, I hope we continue seeing our loyal viewers in the chat because, well, let's be honest, they make the show better.
They do. Oh, absolutely.
They make the show better, and honestly, we probably wouldn't still be here if it weren't for them.
Probably true.
Or at the very least, we would quite literally be talking into the void if it weren't for them. So.
Yes, this is true, and yeah, it is important to actually have a few loyal listeners and everything around, because I'll be honest, sometimes it can get discouraging, even though I'm somebody that doesn't obsessively check. I don't think I've ever checked the analytics for this show at all. Maybe once I checked, and it just I look at the subscriber count every now and again. It's like, I want more. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but they're who make it fun, and
This is true.
I look forward to seeing their reactions to the new direction we're going in, and I also hope that with all the ideas Red and I have, that we're able to really expand on what we're doing and really get more hands-on with everything.
Yeah, some of what you guys talked about is very exciting. I definitely look forward to seeing what you and Red come up with. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be pretty cool, and it covers some interesting territory that doesn't normally get covered here in YouTube land. It's a little bit more than just talking into the camera.
Yeah.
Which I would do. I would do more. I would do more stuff like that. But the whole 6 kids job. So if you want to see less just talking to the camera and more going out and like doing and seeing things, you're gonna have to do all the social media things, so that I can not do so that hopefully I could make money off of this and not do other things to make extra money. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, not that YouTube would ever monetize this channel, and I will never make this a channel that is concerned with YouTube monetization in the slightest. Yeah. That's never going to happen.
Same here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just very excited for where we're going to take things, and I look forward to unveiling it to everyone. I wish I could unveil it now, but
well, like we said, the details are still being hashed out.
Yeah.
And the proper methods, angles, and all of that being covered. But in any case, so that's where we're at. There's going to be a little hiatus. During said hiatus, we're going to do some work on building out this network, and that is a thing that's going to happen. Depending on who you are, don't be surprised if you get a DM or an email with certain inquiries about certain things regarding that. Just throwing that out there to a handful of you who listen. So if you don't, I'm sorry. I'm sorry in advance. But so what else should we talk? You want to talk about this, all the insanity that's been going on of late?
Oh boy. Here we go. Oh boy.
So
start.
I guess, it's at this point, it's kind of rehash territory. I think every angle on it's been covered, but let's kind of go back. We should go back to the beginning, just so we don't lose focus of what this is supposed to be about, and that's the whole death of George Floyd situation.
Yes.
There's a lot of different things in there. The most important being that, well, the dude died, and no doubt the three cops kneeling down on him, pinning him down for almost 10 minutes, played a bit of a role in that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I should say, one, him saying he couldn't breathe. It certainly wasn't because his airway was getting choked off. Because I've been in chokeholds where your airway is choked off, and you don't sound that loud and clear. First and foremost. Two, I don't necessarily have. That said, the guys on his back could have been restricting his. Excuse me, I got to cough a second, which means I got to mute. I'm better. Okay. Anyway, the guys kneeling on his back could easily have been restricting his ability to breathe with his lungs. That is very easily believable. But it's more of a trouble breathing, like when you're having a heart issue or something like that, as opposed to like a choked off airway. It's a different situation altogether. And that could have been what he was talking about. Also, as far as like pinning a guy down like that so you can cuff him if he's resisting, and there's conflicting accounts whether or not he was. I don't know. As far as just doing that for that specific purpose, I have no issue. Now, sitting around and taking a coffee break while you're doing it and letting that roll for almost 10 minutes, that I do have a problem with. And they were clearly casual about it. Like, why wouldn't we be doing this? So clearly it's something they're used to doing. And taking their sweet time doing it. Oh my gosh, yes, I have the Rona apparently.
F's in the chat for Ginger.
Yeah, I guess so. I hate it. Sometimes I get a throat irritation, and it just doesn't want to leave. Anyway, so suffice to say, the cops were obviously clearly in the wrong, and it is very good that they all got fired like instantly. I was surprised when the one guy who was on his neck, when he was the only one who was actually charged with anything. I was like, what about the other three guys that were right there?
They've been charged.
Yeah, I know. I know they just got charged, but I was surprised that they weren't charged at the same time. I was like, really? Really though?
Yeah.
Kind of seems like they ought to have been charged, but hey, we're here. What are you gonna do? So suffice to say, it's like I said, it's good they were charged. I think the current for Derek Chauvin, the guy who was actually on the neck, they've got that at second-degree murder charge right now, which that you're gonna have a hard time proving that because it involves intent, and it's a third degree is more like just reckless disregard, like he doesn't particularly care one way or the other, which I think that's what you're looking at. Watching that video, that's what I see. I see a guy who's unconcerned with whether or not the guy lives or dies particularly. Not that he intended to do so, because come on, there's people all around with cameras and everything. To intend to do that, to kill him, you're going to have a really tough time proving that. But you could get him on a third degree, I think. And I think that's, forgive me for sounding conspiratorial, but I almost think the purpose is to overcharge him so he gets off, because that's going to stir up some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But leave it at a third degree, you got a good chance of nailing him, and then he goes to jail for however long you go to jail for that. I don't know.
Actually, to correct you there, Ginger, third degree murder is the one that carries the intent to kill.
What?
Yeah.
No. What?
Yeah.
Okay, what's second degree then?
Second degree murder doesn't involve that sort of calculation. A person who commits second degree murder does not premeditate or deliberate before committing the act of murder.
Are you confusing third degree with first degree?
I don't know. I'm currently reading it right now, man.
Yeah. But it goes up in severity. Third degree is the least severe, second is the next, and first is the highest. That's where you actually premeditate it.
Third degree, what I'm reading here says that third degree also involves some sort of intent.
Oh, well, okay. It might involve an intent, but second degree definitely also involves intent then.
I have no clue. It's a bunch of legalese.
Okay.
Legalese.
Well, I mean, it's possible then that third degree is even like more than you're likely to get them for.
Mm-hmm.
A manslaughter charge should easily be able to get them on that. But anyway, so if I say I suspect there's an intent to overcharge, and then make sure he, so that he does get off, and then all kinds of crazy things will happen. But as far as the crazy things currently happening, I don't know if there's anything terribly crazy happening at this moment, but what has happened over the past, last weekend all over the country, but by the end of the week, it was pretty much restricted to just New York and a few other the big cities is where stuff seemed to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been seeing with that? I mean, some of it was close to you. Close.
Yeah, like there were, for those of you who have heard or may not have heard of the break into the CNN building where people, threw in and set off explosives or fireworks inside. That was in Atlanta, which is like, half an hour away from us. So, which isn't that close, but closer than most people I know, at least.
Yeah.
So we had that. The College Football Hall of Fame was broken into and looted.
Yep.
We're also the ones who had the video of rioters arguing because some wanted to destroy the Waffle House and others wanted to preserve it. So we have that one as well.
Well, we need to preserve the Waffle House.
No, we don't, but that's a whole other side.
Hey, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Waffle House is one of the great contributions of the South to society.
Anyways.
Fight me. Fight me.
I will fight you.
All right.
But we are also the ones where, the next day, people within the community were coming together to, clean up after the riot. So there's also that. And it's just crazy, man. I don't know if you'd want me to go into this, but I've heard of so many places and people who had, their livelihoods destroyed, and all I see, and I've been basically avoiding social media because for the most part, a lot of what I see is people shrugging off or laughing off the looting and the rioting and whatnot. It's like I still can't get over the fact I saw someone say, y'all freaking out over the riot, over the looting, but for me as a retail worker, it's just a day off.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. And they went on to say I was disappointed when at my job the window breaking was just because of a skateboard accident. And
Insane.
and it's heart-wrenching because, you know, a lot of these riots are destroying businesses that are, small businesses and even black-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They are destroying. And I remember, thankfully, the GoFundMe for this family surpassed the goal. But there's one family, this man who, it's just conflicting information if he's still a firefighter or if he isn't a firefighter anymore, if he's retired. But
Right.
this KB Bala, I think it was in Minneapolis where the main stuff was going on.
Yeah.
He had a sports bar in that area, and it's a sports bar they've been working on for a while, and they were originally going to open earlier in the year, but because of COVID-19, they ended up having to like postpone it and whatnot. And they were actually set to, with the new COVID-19 regulations, they were getting set to open as the riots hit. And when the riots hit, the place burned down. And as they're talking to him and his wife about it, there are looters actively trying to get into the back of the building to loot the safe.
Mm-hmm.
And this business was all out of pocket. They did not have insurance on it. It was all out of pocket, and it was a family project. And it all got destroyed. And I repeat, this is a black-owned business. They're the very people they're supposed to be helping. They're claiming they're rioting because of the injustices, but here they destroyed a black-owned business. They are hurting the very community they are trying to help, supposedly. And they destroyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mr. Magma is bringing up the point that Twitter isn't necessarily the real world as far as like the average person. I think that's true as far as the average person's opinion.
That is also accurate.
The Twitterati have a tendency of being particularly awful, or it encourages like the zaniest hot take you can possibly get. That said, we do also have people burning buildings in the real world. So, while not everybody may approve of that in the real world, there are enough people actually doing it in the real world to be of concern. And then you have people like Ilhan Omar actually talking about getting rid of the police department in Minneapolis, because I'm sure that'll work out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an actual thing she said. Well, I think she might have just said defunding, or I'm not sure if she said defunding or abolishing. I think she just said defunding. But then again, that's kind of a way to abolish.
I've seen, because I've seen like in the creative community people supporting and retweeting things about abolishing the police. And it's like,
this is becoming a thing. Yep. And I was having a conversation on Twitter with somebody who's kind of saying that, it doesn't matter because it's never going to happen. Well, here's the thing. Things that the left proposes and then most sane people say is never going to happen have a way of gathering steam, whether they wind up happening or not. I mean, this goes all the way back, not to get all Catholic up in here, but it goes all the way back to at least contraception back in the early 20th century, when every Protestant denomination was in full agreement with the Catholic Church on how contraception was bad. However, two things changed that. One was when the Anglicans decided to let the camel's nose under the tent and allow it in certain instances. And then Margaret Sanger decided, I can make this a Catholic versus Protestant wedge issue. And she did, and lo and behold. And of course, we were told that that's not gonna lead to increase promiscuity or anything like that, and or it's not going to lead to mainstreaming abortion. Well, guess what happened? we got mainstream no fault divorce. We got mainstreamed abortion, which was never going to be up to 9 months, and we're never going to talk about killing kids that are actually born or anything like that until we are. As soon as we in the decades previous when we were still talking about legalizing homosexual marriage, we were told we're never going to have to worry about them starting to advocate for polygamy. Oh, wait, now there's shows with openly polygamous families on it. And a whole host of other strangeness, like the craziest, wackiest right-wing nut job never saw the transgender stuff coming. That was like we slid all the way down the slope, got to the bottom, got an excavator, and started digging so we could slide further down the slope because nobody saw that coming. And take gun control, or take immigration. We're not talking about open borders until you're literally arguing for caravans of thousands of people that just get led into the country. We're not talking about confiscating anybody's guns until Beto O'Rourke says, "Hell yes, we're coming for your AR-15s." It's the list goes on. So the argument that'll never happen is usually a pretty good argument to me that's gonna happen. Just not ready.
And it's just so frustrating too because everyone is so many people are using George Floyd's name.
Yes.
But it's like how many of these people are actually acting with him in mind? Like, so you're keeping him in mind, but do you think he'd want all you guys fighting each other instead of coming together? Do you think he'd want you guys burning down people's businesses?
Well, no, his own family has said, please stop that.
Yeah. It's like, no. You don't. I'm sorry. You do not get to use his name because using it, unless because I believe there are people who truly are trying to come together because of what happened to him. And I applaud those people because that's what we should be doing. We should be coming together, not still fighting each other.
And there is a lot of that going on. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And I don't. And here's the thing: I don't want to just harp on all of the actual riots that are actually happening. In where protests have happened, in especially the smaller towns, they've, from what I can tell thus far, have remained peaceful. Mm-hmm. They have been actual honest protests, and I have zero issue with that whatsoever. And you can see a few things where, occasionally you see cops, actually marching with them, or they're embracing, and this is fundamentally a good thing, so long as the focus is still on getting rid of police brutality in particular. As long as that focus stays there, yes, please, more of that. And I'm curious, what are your feelings on this whole this latest fad, I guess, of especially law enforcement people doing the whole take a knee thing?
The take a knee thing?
Yeah. There's a lot of this going around where the protesters are asking the law enforcement personnel to take a knee, to kneel down for the 9 minutes or whatever it is. The 9 minutes that the cop was on Floyd's neck, essentially, is what it's symbolizing. It's just it's supposed to be like a solidarity sort of thing.
I don't have an issue with that because it's not violent.
No, it's not.
Showing respect to what happened to him. It's a sign of solidarity. They can choose to participate in it, whether or not. They can choose to participate or not. So it's still their choice. It's not violent. It's solidarity. And from what I've seen, the protesters are doing it with the cops as well. I have no issue with that.
I've seen a couple where that's not the case, where it's just the law enforcement that are down and not the protesters. As long as they're doing it together, I have zero issue with this. To me, that's perfectly fine. Now, as soon as you've got one group standing over the other, I'm having a problem with it. Just a little bit, because now it's more of it feels like it's more of a do this or bad things are going to happen type scenario.
It can, and it's only being one side doing it, I'll clarify whether it be the one side being the police or the one side being the protesters. Either way rubs me the wrong way.
Yes.
But
Together,
I would prefer that. Ideally doing it together. Ideally, but even a one-sided thing, it rubs me the wrong way. It should be both, but it's better than riots. It is better.
It is better than riots. It is better than riots. There's no doubt about that. Now, there has been a lot of that going on, and again, all of the more peaceful and everything. It's great. And again, Margot bringing is commenting that policemen should not give in to the demands of crowds, and like I said, that's why I don't like it if they're just the ones that are down. If it's they're doing it together, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, for one, it has been shown multiple times now to it completely diffuses the situation. It's like it's gone. Everything after that, and usually leading up to that is 100% peaceful, and it's like they just kind of want the acknowledgement that this is a thing and that it's bad. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Again, as long as we're doing this together, I'm not going to be inclined to be like, oh, you demanded, otherwise you're throwing a brick through a window. No, I'm not on board. That's not going to happen.
As long as it's a solidarity thing and they're both doing it together, I don't care if they're kneeling, if they're dancing together, like I've seen something, if they're praying. Right. I honestly don't care as long as there's solidarity and there's coming together.
Let's see. And Margot, I don't believe that means that the crowds win if they're doing it together. If they're doing it together, that's not a sign that the crowds win. That's a sign that they're actually communicating and understanding one another.
Yeah.
I think there's a big distinction to be drawn there. Again, if just the cops are doing it, bad. Or like this other fad of like groups of white people kneeling down and reciting white guilt liturgies. No, not a fan of that at all. You will not get me to do that. Not happening.
And I think it's with both of them doing together, it is important too, because it's like, as you said, it is a understanding of each other. It's an understanding of what the peaceful protesters, what the protesters who truly want change, how they're feeling. Mm-hmm. The police doing it with them shows that the police understand where they're coming from, and the protesters doing it with the police shows that they are, they're ready to work together.
Exactly.
It shows both sides are ready to work together, and the thing is, it's not just the Black community that's been having a negative opinion towards the police for how long now. It's been a thing for how long now, where like even my uncle, who's a big white Polish dude, has heard and has been told and believes it's important to have a camera in your vehicle, because if you're pulled over, you don't know what's going to happen. And again, he's a big white Polish dude. This sort of idea that you need to be careful, you need to have backup footage of interacting with police, has been going on for ages.
Right.
So
there have been a lot of instances. There have been enough instances of abuse of police power through various times. It's not a racial thing necessarily. There's more than enough examples of abuse of power by blacks against whites, whites against blacks, Asians, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's an abuse of power issue, and that's part of human nature. If you've got power, you're gonna be tempted to abuse it, and it doesn't stop. That doesn't suddenly go away just because you have a badge. Arguably, the badge is a symbol of the power you'll be tempted to abuse. But in any case, there is an issue with it, and it does need to be addressed. There does need to be some sort of reform. Like this qualified immunity where they're very difficult to charge or to sue or whatever. That kind of needs to go away. They should be as accountable as anybody else. And and there's of course the tribalism thing, which cops protect Cops Protect Cops, which isn't unique to cops. It's any tribe of people tends to protect their own. And cops are a tribe, priests are a tribe, teachers are a tribe, iron workers are a tribe. It's, tribes will protect their own. That's just, again, this is part of our fallen human nature. It's just the way that it is. Doesn't mean you don't try to make it better. We also got to understand it's like this isn't unique to them. And don't think that just because you have high ideals and everything, if you were in a similar situation, you wouldn't protect your own tribe. let's be honest here. It's a temptation all of us have to fight against. But anyway, a bit of a off-topic rant there. Did you see this other video? Because we mentioned about the forgetting of George Floyd and what this is all supposed to be about in the first place. You see this other video of this guy asking this random white chick to kneel and apologize for her privilege?
Huh.
Yeah. That's it went viral. Turns out it was just a snippet of like a big 45-minute long video. This guy who was apparently, he's actually Hispanic. His internet name is Smooth Sanchez, and he spent kind of a day running around see if he could get people to kneel and apologize for the white privilege. Pretty much all women, incidentally, that he was going after. And I think it was largely a prank. I don't think he meant it seriously. But even so, the fact that I don't know if any of them told him to piss off, but a number of them actually did it. He like goes up, is like, I work with, I'm part of Black Lives Matter. I work with that company, and my CEO said I need to go and ask white people to like kneel down and apologize for the privilege. And the funny part is, the kind of way that you kind of know this was a prank is he didn't say George Floyd. He kept saying George Foreman.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow, no one's calling you on this, huh? All right.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah.
I'm honestly just so baffled because instead of actually coming together, so many people are just nitpicking. Like, oh, you're not actually helping if you're only doing this. You need to be doing X, Y, Z. And, oh, no, you shouldn't be doing that. You should just be sitting down and staying quiet. And yet it's like, guys, this is not the point. This is literally not the point of any of this.
Yeah.
Any of this. Like it's mind-boggling to me that so many people are missing the point. We're supposed to be coming together, and instead, all anyone wants to do is fight and argue about who's the most virtuous, who's doing the most. It's become a pardon my French, a dick measuring contest.
Well, it is, and the fact that it is so quickly used to split people up. It's one of the things that honestly, again, as many things have lately, get my tinfoil hat, simmering just a little bit, because these are tactics straight out of the Marxist playbook.
I think it's no surprise to think that the people in higher authority than all of us want us to be fighting each other instead of coming together.
Exactly.
They want us divided. Like, that's how you gain control and power, is you divide us. You don't unite us, you divide us.
Yeah, because eventually one group or the other is going to look towards the government for the solution. And they'll be like, oh, don't worry. We have a solution for you. And that's what and thus the growing power. There's another program there, which means there's more rules, there's more intrusiveness into your life, there's more taxes to pay for said program, and you all asked for it.
Yeah.
And it's and the thing is, it gets set up to where it's either government intervention or the Wild West, because you've got some like Tom Cotton most prominently, arguing it's like we need to get the National Guard in to stop the riots. which, you know, a lot of people are like, well, that's government oppression and this and that and the other thing. It's like, well, no, it is just government using its power to protect rights and property and all of that. Yet, I don't want to see government doing that. But the only other option is, in fact, you get everybody out there with their Second Amendment rights and be like, don't come to my neighborhood, or you get them fighting back, you know, actively fighting back and pushing back against the mob. You know, in which case you've got what amounts to a gang war in the street. Whereas if you rolling with a bunch of Humvees with chain guns on the top, good chance that stops. But again, it is something where you're getting used to seeing more government force getting thrown around, and I don't like that. But I don't like the other option either, especially when the places where this is happening the most are the places where there is the least, where the Second Amendment is respected the least. It is very impossible to get a concealed carry permit in New York City. It is impossible to get one in Chicago.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm just, my mind is boggled at the entire thing going on. And it's so weird too, because it's like seeing a lot of people's reactions, it's hard to say if people are just not acting like themselves and are just going crazy because we've been locked up for so long and now we got this, or if people's true colors are honestly just being shown. It's hard to tell at this point, because like, it's been a thing now where I guess a lot of libertarians are suddenly saying it's okay to destroy private property.
I've seen some of that. I honestly have mostly seen people complaining about that.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually seeing it. Now maybe it's just because of the people that I follow on Twitter are mostly the good kind of libertarian.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. It's there, but people who go off into the crazier corners of the Twitterverse, maybe they're seeing these libertarians who are like, yeah, sure, yeah, burn down the corporations and this, that. It's like, well, that's not libertarian, that's anarchist.
Yeah.
And that's the bad kind of anarchist. There's plenty of anarchists who are just libertarians who just don't want to see any government whatsoever.
Yeah.
Not that I think that's feasible, but that's another conversation for another time.
And it's like it's like everyone's also like trying to point a finger of like, oh no, that didn't burn down because of rioters. It's not from the it's a white supremacist snuck in. That's what it is. Or no, there's undercover cops. Or no, that's Antifa going in. And it's like, God, are we really still playing this game right now?
Yeah, there's a part of me that says, I don't care who's doing it, they need to be stopped.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like, are we seriously sitting when everything was going down? Are we all seriously sitting here arguing these semantics with each other right now when multiple cities within our country are basically burning? So many places are basically lighting up on fire, and so many people are being hurt and somewhat even killed, and all we care to argue about right now is who's doing it. It's like, no.
Yeah, I was watching I was catching up on Crowder's live stream from Thursday, and they were saying that there's at least 12 deaths attributable to the riots now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, big.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to, and so many people who claim that they care about helping the Black community are just shrugging off the looting and sometimes even laughing it off. And it's like a Black man was yanked out of his car and beaten during a riot. A Black business owner had his dream business destroyed. and you want to sit there and laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that serious. It's it's unfathomable to me, and I guess I don't know if maybe I feel more sensitive about that because oh no, did we lose Ginger? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Um.
Yeah, I'm checking out some updates here.
Okay, because you went blurry, and I was like, oh no.
Oh.
But so as I was saying, I don't know if I'm just more sensitive to that because unlike a lot of people, growing up, I was surrounded by, the black community. The school I went to, all of my elementary school career was majority African American, and many of my friends growing up, and I have friends still from high school who are African American, that I'm more sensitive to it because I have that close connection to it. I don't know if it's because of that or what, but it was making me physically sick to see that reaction from people
Mhm.
who claim to care so much, and yet all they did was laugh and play it off. And all I saw was people of our community as Americans being beaten
Mhm.
and looted and having their dreams destroyed.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Um, on that note, I'm looking at just uh, it tweets for New York, and so far things seem to be everybody seems to be keeping their heads over there, just from what I can see on the Twitters, which is good. That doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what's happening, because I've noticed it seems as though things have gotten highly selective as far as what's getting allowed to be shown. Like there seems to be a lot of effort to only be showing you the peaceful side of things of late, and it seems a little rose-colored glasses to me. But I mean, one of the things that interests me is it seemed like back in the 90s there was this glorious moment in time when, sure, yeah, racism was still a thing, but there were so few people that cared about race. Like, at least in my general circle, it was like no one cared at
Mm-hmm.
all, one way or another. You know, you know, the the admittedly small handful of black people that I knew, they didn't really spend a lot of time talking about it. The most they talked about it was the fact that they couldn't stand the way people could perceive black culture because of what was on TV. One guy was like, that nonsense. That's not my culture at
Yeah.
all. You know, and just it was something that was rarely talked about, and not because people were hiding things, because they were like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like that's when they were talking about. That was when color blindness was the goal. It's like you
Yeah.
didn't see a person because they were as first black or white or Asian or whatever. It didn't matter. No one, just relatively few people cared.
But now color blindness is considered racist.
Exactly. Talking about moving the goalposts on you. It's insane. But yeah, that moment was there, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
And it almost, for a minute, it could have gone the way that I had hoped it would go, which was that people would recognize, yeah, sure enough, there's some differences between the different races and everything, and fine, that's whatever, great, that's awesome. Recognize it and move on.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, who cares? You could even celebrate those differences where it's like they're good. As certain aspects of different cultures can be, at the very least, interesting. You can learn from each other and all of that stuff. That's great, but that's not the route that we went. We went the route of, you will love me and endorse me and everything I do and represent, no matter what stupid subgroup I'm a part of. This is way beyond a racial issue now that I'm referring to. Whatever subgroup I'm a part of, you will love and endorse it and act like it's the greatest thing that has ever happened, or you're racist, bigot, homophobe, something. That's where we are now. We went from a pretty good place and could have gone to something that could have ended it altogether, but nope. Fan those flames. They are flaming.
Mm-hmm.
I was also looking at stuff. I saw some stuff from Minneapolis that looks like that might be on fire right now. So that's fun.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think I don't know. What do you think, Crystal? Do you think this is going to fizzle out here shortly, or escalate, or I don't know? What do you think?
I honestly don't know, but I know it doesn't feel like everything felt like it was coming to a climax, and 2020 feels like it's just one big climax.
Pretty much. It's like 2016 was nuts, and every year since that has been like, yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah.
That's what both. So hold my Jack Daniels. Screw the beer.
Because I don't know. To me, it feels different, and it doesn't feel like something that's going to. I know Lucas says it's gonna fizzle out, but to me, it feels. I mean, for the people who don't truly care, it's probably gonna fizzle out quickly because, well, they didn't truly care. But for those who actually want to help and are concerned and really want to unite us all, it's not going to fizzle out. It's going to stick as a memory and not.
I'm more concerned with the current spate of riots and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Margot suggesting that if I'm reading the subtext correctly, it might fizzle out a little bit in the short term, but then kick back in the fall as we get closer to the election.
But the way 2020 is going, nothing's gonna calm down.
Well, and that's exactly right. We had, it's been impeachment craziness to start off the year. Then we had the COVID, and just as that's starting to wind down, this crap starts. And then, like I was saying before, Whitney was like, yeah, there's probably going to be a mass shooting or something. And then, lo and behold, I go looking around, and right then, there's somebody running around Santa Cruz, I think? And
yeah.
Santa Cruz running around, stealing cars, running into cops, shooting people with AR-15. So it's like, oh, well, awesome. So, what happens as this starts to go through the natural cycle and starts to fizzle out. I think it's going to, whether this fizzles out or not, is going to depend a lot on how far some of the Antifa organizers and everything are willing to go,
mm-hmm.
And how actually prepared they are to do so. I don't mean mentally prepared. I mean have they made physical preparations to do so? Because whoever was behind the whole dropping off of bricks and in some cases water bottles filled with gasoline, apparently, whoever's behind that had to know that the National Guard was going to get called out to put a stop to it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they plan on just once that happens starting to back off, or is there a phase 2 here? I think we'll find that out very soon.
Yeah.
I don't know one way or another. And because of how crazy things have gotten, I hesitate to guess.
And I'm hesitant for you to guess because you're always right. So I'm nervous of you saying something awful, and then that's exactly what happens. We don't need that, Ginger.
Right? I mean, left to its own devices, this would fizzle out. This is because this is just the way things work. It'll fizzle out. The passion will die down a little bit, especially as businesses start to reopen and more people have jobs to go back to. and unemployment benefits and everything start to get rolled back to normal, less incentive to not work, all of that jazz. Left to its own devices, this would fizzle out, and would fizzle out in a couple more weeks probably. Left to its own devices. The question is it going to be left to its own devices or not? Or is somebody going to keep fanning the flames? Are they going to keep poking that tiger? And if that happens, yeah, we're definitely in trouble.
Go ahead.
The one prediction I will make is if come Monday night things are relatively calm, I think we're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Things might heat up again on the weekends, but I don't think we're going to see widespread going over the entire country with, I don't think we'll see that so long as if things are calm come Monday night. If things kick off, like really get going tonight yet, and continue into tomorrow and tomorrow night, and then go to the same level or even ramp up come Monday night, we're in serious trouble. And I don't mean just and by that I don't mean just getting worse in some of the hotspots like Minneapolis and New York. I mean like it gets violent again in the mid-sized cities, like the Grand Rapids of Michigan or Peoria, Illinois, or Santa Cruz, California, for Des Moines, Iowa. If it starts to kick up violently in places like that again, then I would say we're definitely in trouble.
Yeah.
If it stays calm, especially in those places, and starts to calm down in the cities, we're going to make it through this to whatever the next thing is that got cooked up for us. Which is where I remind you that the government has already said that UFOs are a thing. So next episode of 2020, alien invasion.
Oh, I hope not.
That was a joke. I don't mean that.
You better not. I do not like the thought of aliens coming in here, okay? It freaks me out, man.
Well, like I said before, in a purely hypothetical sense, if there were aliens who never discover a thing like a hyperdrive, by the time they would be so advanced in everything and capable of so much long-term thinking, by the time they would get here, that we would say in zero chances whatsoever. If they discovered something like a hyperdrive, there's a chance that they're actually not much other than that one thing. There's a chance they're not terribly more advanced than we are, in which case we'd have a fighting chance.
So anyway, shout out to Lucas in the chat.
Cool alien emojis, and I don't think Margot knows what to make of that last little bit of hypothesizing.
I didn't get a chance to call out from Lucas in the chat. My own personal alien enthusiast, that he said that the misconception that of colorblindness is that people think it means we don't enjoy our people misconceive it as thinking we don't enjoy our uniquenesses and our differences in culture.
Yeah.
I think I saved it right. I started to fumble on my words. But basically that people think it's racist because they think it means we ignore the cultural differences and our uniquenesses.
It's just people looking for idiotic reasons to be offended.
Yeah. But
none.
But truthfully, colorblindness is not about that. It's about seeing each other as people first rather than black and white.
Exactly. And back in the 90s, everyone understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even though you did have Seinfeld making fun of it one time with George Costanza, he was like interviewing a black guy for like a job or something like that, or he was being interviewed by one, I don't remember. And George was just like, "Oh, you're black? I didn't even realize. I didn't even notice." Okay. And the black guys look at him like, really? Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're doing what's called pandering. That's a polite term. Anyway, with that, Crystal, I think we're about out of time here. Unless you got anything else you'd like to add as we sign off.
Other than help your community.
Yes.
Come together. Just stop fighting unnecessarily and just help each other. There's
Please,
many
go.
great donation places. There's I can't remember what the place is called, but there's donations for just helping rebuild communities. The McEasy Communications, which is a organization set to help Native American youths, got burned down. They have donations they're taking. There's how many businesses that got destroyed, small businesses that are taking donations. Just look out and see how you can help your community, because that's the only way we're going to get through this.
Yeah, well said. If you can go out, help clean up some graffiti, help a small business owner get his or her shop cleaned up and ready to rock and roll. Because I mean, they're getting hit hard. I mean, first the dang COVID, and then this crap tearing up places. It's like it's terrible. It really is, and I feel really bad for the people who have gotten their lives, their property, their dreams pretty much just stomped right in front of them. And so they need the extra help right about now. So if you have the means, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, give them some of it, please. And again, stay tuned. We're going to be a little quiet here for the next few weeks, but when we come back, we should be at least a couple of steps closer to actually building this into a real network. And until next you hear from us, keep fighting the good fight.